NVC students and faculty can download a free subscription to Microsoft Office 365 with versions available for both Microsoft and Apple platforms. And I have placed a link to the website where you can do that. And if you click on that link, this is where it will take you. You enter your school email address here and click on the green Get Started button, and the instructions should be fairly well explained, but if you have any questions, let me know and I'll try to help you out. Now, in theory, you remain subscribed to the entire suite, Office suite that is, as long as you're a registered student. Now, I have no idea whether the subscription actually ends after you graduate or not, but at the very least, it's free until you do. Now, once you load Office 365 onto your computer, or if you already have some version of Microsoft Office, you can open the spreadsheet application Excel. Now, different versions appear differently, but the more recent versions on both Microsoft and Apple operating systems look very similar and offer these choices when you start the program. Now, to open a new Excel file, you only need to click once on the blank workbook icon, as you see here, unless you are using the Apple version, in which case you need to double click here, or you would also click on the Create button here. And once you do that and open Excel, this is what you'll see. This field of rectangles here is what's known as a spreadsheet, and it's referred to by Microsoft as a worksheet or just a sheet. And although there's only one available here, in some versions of Excel there are three ready for data or other input, and they're selectable at the bottom of the page here. If you want to add more sheets, as I do, you simply click the plus at the bottom and it will add sheets to the workbook that you're working on at the moment. Every Excel worksheet has a menu bar with tabs labeled Home, Insert, Page Layout, Formulas, etc. And each tab, in turn, has a distinct ribbon associated with it that features different sets of icons corresponding to the various operations that are performed in each tab. This is the ribbon that I'm running my cursor across right here. Now, the blank rectangles that make up a spreadsheet are called cells, and they are identified by their column and row, so that the cell I have selected here is cell B3, or simply just B3. Now, we will most typically have several values that we'll make calculations with, and a set of values arranged in one row or one column more commonly is referred to by Excel as an array. Now, to select an array or data array, we have a few options. First, we can click in the first cell at one boundary, whether that's the top, bottom, left, or right, and then drag the cursor to the last cell in the array and then release it, and now you've highlighted the entire array. Now, when we select an array like this, we have to be careful with our mouse technique. If we click this little green square and drag it down, it's going to change the data in ways that we don't want. Now, we can also select an array by clicking the first cell in its at one end of the boundary, and then press and hold the Shift key and click the last cell in the array, and that again selects that selects every cell. Now, the last way that we might select an array is if we are going to make calculations involving the array. We can type the name of the array in directly. Now, as an example, let's say I wanted to add all of these numbers together and put the sum in one cell. Well, I might choose cell B21 for that cell, and I would type equal sum and then a left parenthesis, and then I would type the name of the array in directly. So I would type B2, the designation for the first cell, and then a colon, and then B20, which is the last cell in this array, and you can see that it's highlighted the entire array. And I close this by typing a right parenthesis, and I hit enter, and the sum, the total, then is shown in that cell. Now, anytime we select an array, there are a few important calculations that are identified in the green bar at the bottom of the sheet. And they are the average, or mean, the count, meaning how many values there were in that array, and the sum, the total you would get if you added them all up. And while it is convenient to have these available at a glance, we often want to calculate them within the body of the worksheet because they'll be used within the sheet for other calculations. Now, there are a couple of operations that we might typically want to perform on an array, and I'll just go over a couple real quickly. We may want to order them, we may want to sort them from either lowest to highest or highest to lowest. And in order to do that, I select the array as I already have here, and I go over to this icon in the ribbon, sort and filter. I click on sort and filter, and I'm given the option to sort smallest to largest, largest to smallest, or to customize my sort. Well, I think that what I'd like to do is order these from smallest to largest. You can see that, you can probably gather that that these are the names and jersey numbers of all the players currently on the San Antonio Spurs roster. And to arrange them by jersey number, I would click smallest to largest. And then I'll be given two options. And if I choose the first, expand the selection, the cells adjacent to each of these cells with numbers in them will travel with the numbers as they are sorted. And of course that's what I want to do, because Patty Mills is number 8 and Bryn Forbes, at least for the moment, is number 11, and I want those names to wind up next to those numbers, so I click sort. And you can see that it's done that, and it's placed Kyle Anderson next to number 1, Kawhi Leonard next to number 2, Dwayne Dedmon next to number 3, etc., etc. And I failed to address this, but I want to address this now. You can see that the names here in column A don't, you can't see the entire name, and so we have two options for revealing the name, the entire name. One would be to wrap text, which we are not going to do right now. That's right here. Or you can just place your cursor on the boundary between the two columns and click and drag that to widen that column. Now, that's maybe a little bit too far, so I think what I'm going to do is click on this and bring it in a little and narrow it down. And now you can read the full player name. Now suppose instead that I want to manually construct a frequency distribution of the heights of U.S. presidents. So here's the names of the presidents, and here are their heights in inches. It would be useful to order those values from smallest to greatest, but the other values in the sheet would be inconsequential. We don't need to know how many years they were in office or the height of the opponent they ran against. We're only interested in a frequency distribution of their heights. So I would select the array and sort and filter from smallest to largest. And in this case, I don't care about the values adjacent to these heights, so I click continue with the current selection, and it sorts those heights, it sorts those values, and leaves the others be. So I click sort, and it's ordered them from the smallest to the largest, and has left these others in place. And finally, if we have two columns of data that we need to use in a calculation together, such as adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, and we want to perform that same calculation for every pair in the two arrays, we will use what's called, or we can use what's called autocomplete. Now let's say I want to find the difference between each value, or the difference between the values here in each pair in the array. Well, I'll start by highlighting cell C1, and I'm going to subtract the value in column B from the value in column A, so I'll type equal, and I can either type A1 or I can select A1, and then I will type minus, and then select or type cell B1, and so this is going to subtract B1 from A1, and I hit enter, and you see that that's exactly what it's done. 67 minus 44 is 23. Well, I want to do that for every pair in the array, and so I go back to cell C1, and I click on the little green square in the lower right corner, and I drag it down to the cell adjacent to the last pair in the array, and release it, and it will have subtracted every B value from every A value, so that for instance 73 minus 62 is 11, and as we go through each of these cells, you can see right here in the formula bar, you can see that each B cell is subtracted from each corresponding A cell. So that's it for now. I'll have other tutorials later in the semester as needed for more involved processes, but this covers some of the very basics that we need to get started.